What if you woke up one day and realized an entire country was off limits to you? No flights, no visas, no way in, just a giant "Do Not Enter" sign. Why are some nations suddenly shutting their doors to Americans? The reasons might shock you. Some countries claim it's for security reasons, while others blame politics, sanctions, or even revenge. And then there are places so chaotic, unstable, or hostile that even stepping foot there could be a life-threatening mistake. From war zones to government crackdowns, these are the 10 countries Americans can no longer visit in 2025. Let's get into it. Number 20. Mexico. It's the country most associated with U.S. immigration debates, but things are getting more intense. Mexico is facing mass deportations, with thousands of its citizens being sent back every month. Why? The U.S. government is cracking down on undocumented immigrants, and Mexico, being the closest neighbor, is taking the biggest hit. Over 60% of illegal immigrants in the U.S. are from Mexico, making them the primary target for deportation. But here's the twist. Many deportees have lived in the U.S. for decades, with families, jobs, and entire lives built here. Yet, under stricter policies, even long-term residents without proper documentation are being forced out. The economic impact? Devastating. Many deported Mexicans return to a country struggling with crime, unemployment, and cartel violence. Some even attempt the dangerous journey back to the U.S. immediately. So, is this making immigration numbers drop, or just creating a cycle? Number 19. Guatemala. You may not hear about it as much, but Guatemala is one of the top 3 countries seeing mass deportations from the U.S. in 2025. The numbers are staggering. Over 50,000 Guatemalans were deported in 2024 alone, and that figure is only rising. Many of them are asylum seekers fleeing violence, but strict immigration policies are shutting them out. The journey to the U.S. is already brutal. Migrants from Guatemala face kidnappings, cartel attacks, and extreme conditions just to reach the border. But now, even those who made it are being sent back at record rates. And here's the real question. What happens when they return? Many are sent back to poverty, gang violence, and zero job opportunities. Some have no family or support left in Guatemala. Others immediately try to make the dangerous trek north again. With policies tightening, is there any hope for them? If you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe. We work hard to bring you eye-opening content, and your support helps us keep going. Hit that like button, share the video, and let's keep uncovering the truth. Now, moving on to El Salvador. Number 18. El Salvador. It's a country that once sent waves of asylum seekers fleeing gang violence. Now, in 2025, El Salvador is seeing mass deportations from the U.S., and fast. Under the latest immigration policies, thousands of Salvadorans are being sent back each month, even those who have lived in the U.S. for years. The reason? The U.S. government claims that El Salvador is now safer, thanks to its crackdown on gangs. But is that really true? Yes. President Nayib Bukele's anti-gang policies have reduced crime, but many deportees return to a country where jobs are scarce and opportunities are limited. Some fear retaliation from remaining criminal networks. Others find themselves in a place they barely remember, having spent most of their lives in the U.S. So, is deportation truly sending them back home, or just throwing them into a country that's still struggling? Number 17. Honduras. If you think El Salvador has it bad, Honduras is facing even harsher deportation waves. Hondurans make up a large percentage of undocumented immigrants in the U.S., and in 2025, deportations are hitting record numbers. Over 70,000 Hondurans were deported last year, and the trend is accelerating. The U.S. claims it's enforcing stricter border policies, but what happens when these deportees return? Honduras is still one of the poorest and most dangerous countries in Central America, with high unemployment and violent gang activity. Many deportees return to nothing. No homes, no work, and no safety net. Some even become targets for criminal groups that see deportees as easy prey. And here's the bigger question. Will this stop migration? or just fuel even more desperate attempts to cross the border again. Number 16. Nicaragua. A country of lush rainforests, volcanic landscapes, and colonial charm. Yet in 2025, Nicaragua is seeing a massive surge in deportations from the U.S. Under new immigration policies, thousands of Nicaraguans are being forced to leave the U.S., many after decades of living there. The reason? The strained relationship between the U.S. and Nicaragua's government. With President Daniel Ortega tightening his grip on power, the U.S. has cracked down on Nicaraguan immigrants, revoking temporary protected status, TPS, for many. But here's the issue. Nicaragua isn't exactly ready to take them back. The economy is struggling, job opportunities are scarce, and political repression is at an all-time high. Many deportees return to a nation where speaking out against the government could get them imprisoned. Some, fearing for their safety, attempt to flee again. So, is the U.S. sending people back home or sending them straight into danger? Number 15. Haiti. It's a country that has suffered from earthquakes, political turmoil, and extreme poverty. Now, in 2025, Haiti is experiencing one of the most brutal deportation waves yet. Over 100,000 Haitians have been deported in the last 2 years, despite the nation facing a total collapse of law and order. Armed gangs control large portions of the country, with kidnappings, murders, and violent clashes happening daily. The government? Barely functioning. The economy? Worse than ever. Yet the U.S. keeps sending people back, claiming they have no legal basis to stay. But here's the problem. Many Haitian deportees were living in the U.S. legally, with temporary protected status, TPS, or pending asylum claims. Now they're being flown back to a nation where survival is uncertain. So, if Haiti is too dangerous for U.S. citizens to visit, why is it safe enough to send thousands of people back? If you're finding these facts eye-opening, make sure to subscribe. We bring you the real stories behind the headlines. Hit that like button, share this video, and let's keep spreading awareness. Number 14. Jamaica. A tropical paradise known for its reggae music, stunning beaches, and vibrant culture. But in 2025, Jamaica is facing an alarming rise in deportations from the U.S. Over the last year, thousands of Jamaicans have been forced to leave, many of whom had built lives in America for decades. The U.S. government is tightening immigration policies, targeting individuals with expired visas, minor offenses, or no legal status. The result? Families torn apart, businesses left behind, and a surge of deportees returning to a country struggling with high unemployment and crime rates. But here's the real kicker. Many of these deportations are over petty nonviolent offenses, like traffic violations or minor drug charges from years ago. Some deportees left Jamaica when they were children, and now find themselves in a country they barely remember. So, is this about immigration laws, or a system designed to punish people who had nowhere else to go? Number 13. Dominican Republic. It's one of the most visited countries in the Caribbean, famous for its resorts, rich history, and baseball legends. But in 2025, many Dominicans in the U.S. are being sent back home, whether they're ready or not. The Dominican Republic has one of the largest immigrant populations in the U.S., but new policies are leading to mass deportations, targeting those with expired documents or minor legal infractions. The government argues it's simply enforcing the law, but for thousands, this means losing everything overnight. And the worst part? Many deportees left the Dominican Republic decades ago. Some don't even speak Spanish fluently anymore. They've worked, paid taxes, and built families in the U.S., only to be forcibly sent back to a country that doesn't have the resources to help them reintegrate. So what happens when deportees return to a place they no longer call home? And why are so many being sent back, despite having no criminal records? Number 12. Venezuela. A country once overflowing with oil wealth, now struggling to keep its people from fleeing. In 2025, Venezuelans in the U.S. are being deported at record rates, despite the crisis back home. For years, America granted temporary protection to Venezuelans escaping political repression, food shortages, and economic collapse. But now, that protection is fading fast. New immigration policies are stripping Venezuelan asylum seekers of their status, forcing them onto planes and sending them back to a nation where basic survival is a daily struggle. Here's the reality. Inflation is still out of control, gangs rule the streets, and hospitals lack even the most basic medicine. For many deportees, returning to Venezuela isn't just difficult, it's a death sentence. So why is the US sending people back to a country that's barely functioning? And what happens to those who have no home, no job, and no future waiting for them? Number 11. Colombia. It's South America's rising star, booming cities, a growing economy, and breathtaking landscapes. But in 2025, Colombians in the US are being forced to return in massive numbers. Colombia has long been one of the top immigrant groups in America, with thousands arriving every year in search of a better life. But now, the doors are closing. Deportations have surged, targeting both undocumented immigrants and those with expired work permits. The US government claims it's just enforcing immigration laws, but for many this means being ripped away from their families overnight. And here's the twist. Colombia isn't the same country many left behind. While some cities have flourished, violence is rising again, with drug cartels regaining control in rural areas. Many deportees find themselves returning to neighborhoods still plagued by crime and instability. So, what's really behind this crackdown? And why is it hitting law-abiding, hard-working Colombians just as hard as everyone else? Number 10. Cuba. It was once a top destination for political refugees, but now, Cubans in the US are facing mass deportations. For decades, Cubans benefited from unique immigration policies, like the wet foot, dry foot rule, which allowed those who made it to American soil to stay. But that policy ended, and under new immigration crackdowns, deportations are skyrocketing. Even those who have lived in the US for years, working, paying taxes, building families, are being forced onto planes back to Havana. But here's the real problem. Cuba is in crisis. The economy is collapsing. Food and medicine shortages are worse than ever, and anti-government voices are silenced. Deportees don't just return to poverty, they return to surveillance, intimidation, and sometimes prison. And let's not forget, Cuba's government is no friend of the US. So why is Washington sending people back to a country it barely has relations with? Number 9. Brazil. It's one of the biggest economies in Latin America, yet Brazilians are being deported from the US in record numbers. With its beautiful beaches, massive cities, and world-famous festivals, Brazil seems like a dream destination. But for many immigrants, returning to Brazil is a nightmare. The country is dealing with rising crime, political corruption, and a struggling economy. Many deportees are sent back to favelas controlled by drug gangs, where survival depends on who you know and how fast you can run. So, is this really about immigration control, or is it about targeting certain nationalities? And why is the US sending people back to one of the most dangerous places in the world while claiming to promote human rights? We need your support before we move forward to keep bringing you the truth. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Like this video, share it, and drop a comment. Let's get the conversation started. Number 8. Ecuador. It was once a safe haven for migrants, but now, Ecuadorians in the US are being deported at an alarming rate. For years, Ecuadorians came to America fleeing poverty and violence, hoping for a better life. But in 2025, the US has ramped up deportations, citing visa overstays and illegal crossings. The problem? Many of those being sent back have nowhere to go. Ecuador is in crisis. Drug cartels have taken over entire regions. Kidnappings are rising, and even police officers are being assassinated in broad daylight. So, why is the US deporting people to a country where even government officials say they can't guarantee safety? And if Ecuador collapses further, will deportations only make the situation worse? Number 7. China. It might be a global superpower, but Chinese nationals in the US are now facing mass deportations. For decades, Chinese immigrants have been a major part of America's workforce, from tech engineers to restaurant owners. But under increasing political tensions, the US is cracking down. Many Chinese students, workers, and asylum seekers are being denied visas and deported. The official reason? National security concerns. The real reason? Some believe it's just another layer in the ongoing US-China Cold War. The situation is even worse for those who fled persecution. Critics of the Chinese government, activists, journalists, and religious minorities are being sent back to a country that actively censors and punishes dissent. And here's a question. If the US claims to support human rights, why is it forcibly sending people back to a regime that silences its own citizens? Number 6. India. You wouldn't expect this, right? India, one of the world's largest economies, is seeing its citizens deported from the US at record rates. But why? It's not just illegal immigration. Many Indian deportees actually entered the US legally. In recent years, thousands of skilled workers, particularly on H-1B visas, have been forced to leave due to strict immigration policies. Job layoffs in tech companies, combined with tightened visa rules, mean even professionals with degrees are being sent back. Meanwhile, India itself is struggling with high unemployment, political unrest, and rising tensions between religious groups. For those being deported, returning isn't just difficult, it's dangerous. So why is the US forcing out people who actually contribute to the economy? And what happens when America's loss becomes another country's gain? Number 5. The Philippines. They've worked as nurses, teachers, and service workers for decades, but now, Filipino deportations are on the rise. With over 4 million Filipinos in the US, they make up one of the largest immigrant communities. Many have been here legally for years, but sudden immigration crackdowns have led to increased visa denials, removals, and even mass raids. But why? The US government claims it's targeting overstayed visas and undocumented workers, but many believe it's also tied to changing political relations. The Philippines has been caught between US-China tensions, and some suspect its shifting alliances could be influencing deportation policies. And here's the biggest question. If America relies so much on Filipino workers, why is it forcing them out? We want to keep bringing you these important stories, but we need your help. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it. More people need to see what's happening. Now, let's talk about Nigeria. Number 4. Nigeria. It's one of the most populous nations in Africa, but Nigerians are facing mass deportations from the US at an alarming rate. Why? Many arrived on student or work visas, yet strict immigration policies and visa overstays have led to a sharp rise in removals. Even worse, some Nigerians seeking asylum from violence and political instability are being denied protection. And let's not forget, Nigeria has one of the highest rates of educated immigrants in the US. Doctors, engineers, and IT professionals contribute massively to the economy, yet many are now being forced out. Back home, kidnappings, economic hardship, and government crackdowns make returning incredibly dangerous. For deportees, it's not just about leaving the US, it's about survival. So why is the US sending skilled professionals back to instability? And will Nigeria ever be able to stop the brain drain? Number 3. Somalia. For decades, refugees have fled war-torn Somalia in search of safety, but in 2025, deportations are surging. Despite ongoing violence and terrorism from al-Shabaab militants, the US has ramped up removals of Somali immigrants, even those who have lived here for years. Some arrived as children, grew up in the US, and now face being sent to a country they barely know. And here's the scariest part. Many deportees are sent back without protection, straight into conflict zones. Some have been targeted by militants upon arrival, while others struggle to survive in refugee camps. The US claims these deportations are about security. But does sending people back into danger really make anyone safer? And what happens when America turns its back on those who trusted it for refuge? Number 2. Cameroon. For years, Cameroonians sought refuge in the US to escape conflict, but now they're being deported in record numbers. The country has been torn apart by civil war between government forces and separatists, with entire villages burned down and thousands killed. Yet the US continues sending people back, even those seeking asylum. And here's the shocking part. Some deported Cameroonians have been arrested, tortured, or even disappeared upon arrival. Human rights groups have warned that sending people back is a death sentence, yet deportations continue. The US claims Cameroon is safe, but if that's true, why are thousands still fleeing? Number 1. Sudan. A country in total chaos, yet deportations continue. Sudan is currently facing one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world, with ongoing civil war, famine, and mass displacement. Yet, Sudanese immigrants, including those who have lived in the US for decades, are being forced to return. The situation is so dire that even aid organizations are pulling out, calling Sudan one of the most dangerous places on Earth. The question is, why send people back when there's nowhere safe to go? If you found this video informative, hit the like button, subscribe, and share to help spread awareness. Your support keeps us bringing you content that matters. Let us know in the comments. What do you think about these deportations?